Hi guys, welcome to another tactical video. This one's going to be the first part of a new series that I'm doing, and basically it's how to win at Warhammer 40k. Now, whether or not you're like highly competitive in the way you play, whether or not you go on the internet and find the latest tournament lists, that kind of thing, or you just like to play for fun and fluff, and you know, winning is nice, but you're not too bothered so long as you have a good time. Basically, no matter what kind of style of play you like, or kind of game you like in 40k, winning is still a big part of it. It's a war game at the end of the day. Now, to win, there's a few things you can do. One of the basic tricks, and the thing I'm going to cover first, is a piece of advice you see quite often. And basically that piece of advice is, if you want to win, you shoot the assaulty or the chopper units, and you assault the shooty units. What does that mean? Well, for instance, this battle sister here with the heavy bolter is a shooty unit because she's got a heavy bolter. This unit here is an assaulty unit because they're Repentia. So basically, the best way to kill the Repentia is to shoot them before they get into assault. Best way to kill a shooty unit is to assault them, because then they can't get shot at, and also, you know, they're not as good in close combat, so it makes sense to kill them. Okay? Simple enough advice, but if I'm completely honest, I think it's almost a little too simplified. And the reason I'm saying that is, in my experience, that is not always the case. There are many times where assaulting the assaulty units is actually more effective, and likewise shooting the shooty units is more effective. So it's not completely true to say that. What I actually find is more true is this kind of rock, paper, scissors system at play in Warhammer 40,000. And surely you know what rock, paper, scissors is, so I'm not going to explain that, it's fairly obvious. Basically, there's a kind of system at play here, and it's not just shooting and assaulty, it's more that everything has advantages and disadvantages to other things. For example, the Rhino at the back is almost immune to normal infantry fire, so like bolt guns and that kind of thing. So as a result, the Rhino has an advantage over someone with a bolt gun. Let's just say the Space Marine captain here is not equipped with Relic Blade, and you know, he's got a bolt gun. Okay, from the front, at a certain range, and ignoring everything else he has, he could not damage that tank with his bolt gun, so the tank has an advantage. Conversely, the tank itself has a Stormbolter, so it could damage him. That means in a straight up matchup in that situation, the Rhino is better. But of course, not everything exists in a vacuum, and this is one of the issues with planning things out on paper and translating them out onto the tabletop. If we were to replace the captain with this battle sister with a melter gun, I'm sure it's fairly obvious, but the melter gun is extremely effective against tanks. Favours in for the melter gun. So yeah, that's basic examples, okay? What is more effective against a certain thing can change constantly. It can change depending on the type of unit you're firing with. It can change depending on the type of unit you're firing at. It can change depending on the turn of the game it is and what your objective is for that turn. It can change purely because there's terrain in the way or that kind of thing. So what the real trick to this is to basically deduce in your own head what the most effective thing you have for dealing with a threat is at that point in time. So for example, I have the heavy bolter sister, I have the melter sister who's all the way back here, and let's say I have the Repentia that are over here, and let's say this Rhino is let's say it's a Space Marine one, and the captain is over here. Okay, now assuming the melter gun is not anywhere near in range. Okay. Now what you could do is move the melter gun all the way up the field over the turns towards the Rhino. But remember, the Rhino can always outrun you. Let's just assume your mission for this entire winning this battle is to kill this Rhino. Okay. That is not going to get there. As a result, you can eliminate it for this turn and any consecutive turns unless something changes. Okay. As a result, this unit is now freed up and can do a completely different mission. Okay. If it has no other missions or anything to do, then the trick is something else. Basically, you want to move this unit somewhere to block the actions of your enemy, so it can get in a position and basically cut it off, because it can't go near them, it'll blow up. Okay? But that is not going to kill that this turn. Okay? Next, let's say the Repentia could get in, but they have a small chance of getting in. Okay, the distance is quite far, there's stuff in the way, that kind of thing. So, you know, they don't really want to do that. Okay, it's an option though, it's there, it's a backup. Okay, then let's say you got the heavy bolter. Okay, now normally heavy bolter shooting an infantry model is a good idea, but being a captain, he's got a lot of wounds, you know, he's got good armour, blah blah blah. Difficult to kill. Okay. With a heavy bolter. Heavy bolter can actually hurt the Rhino because it's a high enough strength where it could glance it. You get a decent amount of shots and that kind of thing. Okay. What would you do? Would you shoot at that or that? Okay. In saying this is the given turn. Now what I would do is actually, it's a bit of a trick question really. You could shoot at the Rhino with the heavy bolter. That's one option. Unlikely to kill it, but let's say it's on one hull point or something, you've got a good chance of glancing it and then it'll finish it, so you've done your job. If it's at full strength, the other option, of course, is to throw a crack grenade, because Sisters of Battle have them. Okay? It's a single hit, but it's more likely to do something, could even pen it and stop the Rhino that turn. Okay? Then, after she's thrown a crack grenade, she could also charge in and use more crack grenades, and because she's so much closer, she's got a much better chance of getting in and destroying the Rhino. Okay? Of course that leaves him, so what do you do then? The Repentia can go in and deal with him, because they're much closer. They can do a lot more damage to him, and it locks him up and protects her if the scenario doesn't work out as intended. Now if this sounds pretty complicated, it's not, because even though it looks like I've coordinated these units to benefit each other, and it's like taking loads of advanced thought, it's really not. The trick is to understand what your models are capable of, and the example here was her having grenades, okay? That made the difference. I knew that she could do better. She'd get 2 chances basically to pen this, or at least glance it, by charging and dealing with that, so she's got a much better chance of killing it. I understood what she had available to her, and that is the real trick, okay, to this. So basically you must understand what your models are capable of. So the trick to this is to understand their war gear, understand what they have. Do they have grenades? What kind of grenades do they have? Do they have special effects? For example, we've got some Tau Fire Warriors here. Fire Warriors can be given EMP grenades. Now those going in against the Rhino would be very scary for the Rhino. They've got a very, very good chance of taking it out in a single turn. So that is, for example, one way of doing it. You have to look at what your units have and plan accordingly. You know, you have these options. Look at the scenario as it is. Look at what you can do with the units you have. How many units do you have that could take out the Rhino for that turn? Then you have to decide the best way of allocating them. And it takes a bit of practice, but you know, it's easy to work out if you know what your units are capable of. Now the other trick is going back to the assault the shooty and shoot the assaulty. Okay. There's a few things to do with this, and I'm going to make another video more in depth on a specific example. But basically, look at the models you have. Look at their actual stat line and war gear and special rules and that kind of thing. is there anything in there that is special to them? For example, do they have a particularly high weapon skill, or ballistic skill, or maybe initiative? Maybe they have a lot of attacks or a really good save, that kind of thing. The trick here is basically most units in the game have at least 2 little tricks they can do. And what this means is, if you are in a scenario where something seems impossible to kill, for example, let's say this guy is like jacked up to the nines, he's got loads of amazing war gear, he's like a chapter master with all the bells and whistles and stuff, he's got like the burning sword and relic and everything like that, okay? He's going to get into assault, okay? And I've got some poor examples here, but, you know, for now, he's going to get into assault. You could shoot him and you could basically throw away units. You could go feed him one and he'll kill her, and then move on, and then feed him another one, kill him. That's fine. But generally speaking, you don't always have to do that. You can always play things on your terms. And basically all you need is some kind of leverage on your side. So, for example, if you had a unit with higher initiative in combat, you could meet him with something resilient enough to take his charge, and then next turn go in yourself, and then you can hit him before he hits you, and that kind of thing. And often, if you have enough attacks, that's enough to do it. So it's kind of leveraging something in your favour. Hammering out the exact details is again dependent on the situation. So much of this is dependent on the right situation. But it's basically understanding your army, your units and your models, understanding what they can do, and then picking the best one at the right time to deal with the attack and deal with the situation at hand. Remember, just go for your mission, but sometimes you have to kill stuff, and this is what helps you do that. So hopefully this isn't too abstract, and it should make some sense later on. I'm going to film a specific example like right now, and hopefully you'll see what I mean. So thanks for watching this video. That was part 1, so I'll be back soon with part 2, and there you go. Thanks a lot.